we will call this meeting to order at 1 after 3. I want to welcome everybody, and a reminder to all the guests and those online for our bylaws, only staff senators who are present in person are allowed to speak at our general body meeting. So if you're online and have any kind of question or concern, you can run it through your senator. Our opening agenda just had the call to order. I want to remind everybody of our grounding, our staff senate purpose, that we're here to create an open forum to facilitate communication, engage staff, explore solutions, promote a positive campus climate, participate in service work, propose and support programs. And this is not a place for individual issues or grievances, but a time for meaningful, purposeful voice for those who are staff and providing solutions. With that, we will confirm that we have roll call and attendance from our secretary. Awesome, thank you. And do we have a quorum from our parliamentarian?
Yes.
Thank you very much. The minutes from August were sent out first via email from Jessica Mackey. All senators should have reviewed those minutes. Are there any additions or revisions to last month's meeting minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve? Thank you, Senator Chambers. Is there a second? Thank you, Senator Miles. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now we will have Senate officer reports, beginning with mine, where I'll share information, opportunities, and some celebrations. First, I want to share some information with you so you have the most up-to-date information of what is happening on our campus. You may remember last year the climate survey that went out, the Modern Think. Those results are in, and this is somewhat of a timeline that HR has proposed for disseminating that information to the campus. First was executive cabinet, which happened last week, and then next are briefings with deans and VPs, which will happen this month into next. Then there'll be university-wide town halls where we will all be invited to hear the results, especially overall campus-wide for staff and faculty. Then college division level overviews will happen with employees from those specific directors. From that, the university-wide and division level action planning will launch, because one thing I've heard over and over again in the meetings I've attended is they want these results to spur action. Why bother spending the money on a survey of this scale and not do something with the results? So that should be coming soon as it gets disseminated about. Please look for that via email, via newsletters, via USC Today, and the executive team and I will keep you abreast of that as well. You may have noticed there's more students and less parking on campus. And so Parking Services is initiating a master mobility plan, really looking ahead to the future of campus growth and parking. That is going to begin with the hiring of a consultant group to really look at campus parking, where we park, we being the full body, and where there might be some room for growth. We have a representative on that working group, and that's Vice President Reed, who will keep us updated as that comes to fruition with more information. The last piece that I know of that was an RFP was put out for the consulting group, and that's sort of where we are. So nothing has really gone past that, but if we can expect some updates when the parking director Favela comes soon to address us. Just wanted you to know that on your behalf, as your president, I've been doing the work, meeting with all of our leaders that we engage with, especially the ex officio, met with President Emeritus, Interim Provost Fitzpatrick, Chief of Staff Edwards, and the list goes on. Know that I'm trying to get my face and name out there so that your face and name is also out there, so that everyone understands and knows what Staff Senate is doing and that we are here and doing the work via committees. Everyone has been very positive with what we are doing and the agenda that we have and are creating. One new aspect is I attended the August 22nd Board of Trustees meeting. That's my picture there. We do not have a seat at the Board of Trustees table where our faculty and student body colleagues do, but I was present in the gallery, and every time I could, I stood up and just waved. And so we will make our presence known at the Board of Trustees meeting, just because I think it's important to listen to those discussions that we were privy to when they're not in executive session, but also it's a chance to engage with the leadership of this university who comes to support the Board of Trustees as well, and since they are the governing body of the university. So please know that I'm doing this and reporting back to the executive committee and you all the information that I gleaned from all of our wonderful ex officio members and the other leadership on campus. Don't forget, those of you who signed up, we are having Staff Senate Night at the Fireflies Thursday. So looking forward to that and giving you feedback following the event as we look to possibly add this to our Staff Appreciation Day in 2026. This date is actually correct, unlike it was last month when I presented to you. The State of the University with President Emeritus will be next Wednesday, September 17th in the Russell House Ballroom. The deadline to RSVP is tomorrow, so please consider that if that's something you would like to do. They will also stream it live on Facebook. This is really an opportunity for all of us to hear firsthand the president's vision for this academic year and how we can be a part of achieving those goals together. Also, please note that this was in some information that was shared. There will be a mammogram van on campus. This is just something for you to share with your constituents as well that they may be interested in. This is a wonderful opportunity to take advantage of this service. If it's something that falls into an area that your constituents may need, employees can call that number to schedule an appointment. If you're younger than 40, you'll need a doctor's order. Everyone else will just need a photo ID and insurance card. And we will make sure that this gets out to everybody in a timely manner so you can send that on. Followed up with, of course, the HR Wellbeing Expo, Passport to Wellness, will be Tuesday, September 30th. This is a wonderful opportunity to see all of the different well-being as well as state benefits that we all receive as being members of USC staff. We will have a presence and a table that we will get more information hopefully soon where we can sign up and you can join us there where we tell our colleagues about Staff Senate and the work that we do. Heard from our wonderful friends at the Alumni Association, and they wanted me to make sure that I share with you that they are hosting a brand new event, or actually I think moving the event to Homecoming on the Horseshoe. And Friday, October 24th from 6 to 10, they're going to hold an event and all faculty and staff get a discount. So if you were interested, there'll be information there. And again, the discount code, I'll share this again through Jessica with all of you all via email so that you can see that they really would like you all to attend. And they do some wonderful work for staff senators and staff on campus. And they're going to come talk a little bit about that, how you can join whether you are an alum or not to support their causes. Also, please volunteer. You're going to hear from our Community Projects Committee. This is two of us at the community shop where we got to volunteer and do some work based on our guest speaker last time, Jennifer Whetstone Jackson. Please take some time, even if it's only an hour. That's what I gave. And it was, I'll tell you, hard to switch into my day, but it was very rewarding to see the services we offer students, faculty, and staff on campus who may be food insecure, who may be clothing insecure, or have other needs. It runs just like a shop you would go into in a mall. It was fascinating. And I realized too that they have books. And so I took some from my home collection that I've read and will never read again and sent those on. So there's lots of places for all that stuff you may have at home that you don't need anymore. So I encourage you to do that and listen when the community projects team gives you some opportunities. It really is a lot of fun and will make your day. Have some celebrations. Want to celebrate Senator Williams, who was a senator at large, but will now fill the last student affairs seat. So student affairs is fully represented. We appreciate that. We welcome Senator Ashford for the provost reporting areas. I don't think Senator Ashford could be here for this meeting. Will join us next. And we welcome Senator Allen from the School of Medicine, Greenville. Senator Allen couldn't make it today either, but those are replacing individuals who left employment at USC. And so we're very, very excited to welcome them to our bunch. Last but not least, those of you probably know about the HR Cocky cards that you can send electronically to recognize individuals who have done wonderful work around the university. We're going to start a new Staff Senate card called You Are Garnet and Great, USC Staff Excellence in Action. We were hoping printing would have those ready today, but we will have them at the next meeting. And this is something that you can send someone, one of your constituents, someone outside of your constituency who has done great work that you want to recognize as a staff senator. or you can have myself or someone on the executive committee do it for you in your honor. Again, we just want to add to celebrating all of those on our campus who do great work. And I think any way that we can do so and share the joy that we can find in what we do, the better. So just something to think about, and know that we will do that more as time goes on. Because we want to follow our theme and continue to connect, empower, and lead. It is now my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker today. And this is the first time in many, many, many years an athletic director has come and spoken to Staff Senate. And so I am thrilled, especially off of the news of us becoming a Nike institution, that we recognize Jeremiah Donati to the stage, who's going to tell us a little bit about his work and how staff is integral to that.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes. First, looking at myself right here, but it's all good. I thought about, well, first of all, let me back up. Thank you all for not only having me today, but thanks for your service to the university. This is what you're doing. The work you're doing is important. It's important for a lot of reasons. You know, we really are a community, and we're only as good as the individual units, the individual people that's made up of collectively. And so not only this group in this room, you all senators, but the units you represent in your teams, you know, collectively we're better. And I can speak, you know, just from where I sit in athletics, a lot of people in your units show up on game day to support us, to make our game day better. And so from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of our staff, thank you all for to you all and your team's collective efforts. Because like I said, you know, we're going to be better together than we will individually. And it's not lost on me how much goes into that. So thank you. And thank you for having me today. Thank you, Chris. Thanks to whoever decided to put that picture up. Just so I'm clear, is there a camera on me? Sometimes I just like to walk. I want to make sure that I'm not alienating anyone that's watching this TV land.
Just walk in that corner.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'll start with saying, and I say this to a lot of groups I'm speaking from, there's never been a better time to be at the University of South Carolina. There's never been a better time to be a Gamecock. And I'm not just saying that because we're 2-0. I'm saying that for a lot of reasons. You know, the university is hot right now. This is the place where prospective students want to come. We had over 60,000 applications last year. Coming from Fort Worth, I was at TCU for 14 years. I know so many families just in that community that want to come here, want to be part of this. The university is on fire. It seems like every week we've got an announcement, whether it's the medical school. We'll talk about some of the things we're doing here in athletics, but this is a great time to be here at this university, great time to be here in Columbia. The city has got a tremendous upward trajectory, and the state is growing. So there really has never been a better time to be here. And I hope you all feel that in the work you do, because I'm shouting from the rooftops. Candidly, it's the reason I came here. I started here in early January. We weren't looking to leave Fort Worth or to TCU, but when an opportunity like this comes up, you see how much great things are going on around the university. A lot because of the work you all are doing, it was really kind of an easy decision. So I'm going to talk about a few things that are going on here, and then of course I'll leave time for any questions that you all may have. But I thought I'd start with this before I start talking about the stadium project and Nike and some other things. You know, one of the things that is going on in our business in the athletic side that a lot of people are talking about, but you may not be familiar with, is a recent lawsuit that we settled, House versus NCAA. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Okay. The University of South Carolina, as well as the other Power 4 institutions across the country, and including the SEC, all the member institutions of the SEC and the NCAA were defendants in a massive class action lawsuit, massive antitrust class action lawsuit that's really been going on for years. And I won't get too far into it, but the gist of it is there's a plaintiff's class of over 300,000 former student athletes going from 2016 to last year that filed lawsuit, House versus NCAA. House is not a person, or excuse me, not a building, but it's a person. Grant House, who was a swimmer at Arizona State University, they filed a class action lawsuit against all the institutions in the NCAA and the Power 5 conferences, really Power 4 now. They basically said that these student athletes had not been able to realize the benefits of NIL, name, image, likeness opportunities. And so we went through the process. We decided to settle the suit. Candidly, in my opinion, and many others, we were probably dead to rights and would have lost that lawsuit. If you follow, the NCAA has not fared well in these massive lawsuits. I think they're like 0-10. And so we settled this lawsuit in the spring, which took effect July 1. And so why is that important? Well, there's probably 4 huge things that have really changed our business forever that we are dealing with, adapting to, and operationalizing to make sure we can tackle these going forward, and not only address these things, but thrive in this new environment. So I'll go over the 4 things. I think if you left here today and someone said to you, if you get back to your office building tomorrow and someone said, what the heck was he talking about? You can talk about these 4 things. So the first thing is there's these backward-looking damages that all of the defendants are required to pay a portion of. And those total equal $3 billion. By the way, the durability or the term of the settlement is 10 years. So we are to pay $3 billion over the next 10 years. South Carolina's portion of that is a little over 10 million. So we have about, right out of the gate, we'll be down about $1 million annually to pay off the backward-looking damages in this lawsuit. And as much money as that is, that's by far the smallest component of this lawsuit. The second thing is scholarship limits. There used to be a limit on scholarships per team. And so I'll take baseball as an example. Baseball, for whatever reason, had 11.7 scholarships they could award 35 to 40 players. And this has been, whether you're in South Carolina or TCU where I was, or the University of Texas or any other institution across the country, the limit was 11.7. So what the settlement, and one of the things we settled to was scholarship limits go away. And the gist of this lawsuit, by the way, is more benefits for student athletes, more opportunity, and more doing more for student athletes than we were previously. So that's kind of the underlying theme here, and you'll understand what I'm talking about in a moment. So scholarship limits go away, and they instituted roster limits. So in the sport of baseball, for example, 11.7 goes away. Now you can just put scholarships all the way up to what that roster limit is. Next year, the roster limit for baseball across the Power 5 will be 34 players. So now 11.7 scholarships up to 34. And of course, South Carolina, big baseball history and tradition, we will be at 34. So it's great. It's great for our young men and young women. And this, I'm just talking about baseball, but this is across the board. You can think about softball and soccer and track. All of our sports in total, we will be adding about 90 scholarships next year to our roster. We have about 500 student athletes, more or less. So it's great, right? It's great for young men and young women. It's more opportunity for young people. However, it comes with significant financial aid, a new financial unbudgeted responsibility to cover this new cost, if you will, about $2.7 million. 2.7 million, 1.1 million for the settlements. We're up to 3.7. Well, now's the big news, and so you've probably seen this is the revenue sharing directly with student athletes. And so I'll talk a little bit about NIL in a moment, but let's talk about revenue sharing. So revenue sharing is the institution, it's the University of South Carolina, paying our student athletes directly. That is like the big headline of this lawsuit. That number is 20.5 million. And that number became effective July 1st, 2 months ago. So starting July 1, this is really a watershed landmark settlement, whatever you want to call it. Not since 1972 and the advent of Title IX have we seen anything this, I don't want to call it disruptive because that's a negative connotation, this massive in our business. 20.5 million in revenue share. That number goes up 4% every year for the life of the settlement. So this year, this upcoming year, when we get to 26, it'll be 21.3 million. And then it'll be 22 point whatever. And it's going to go up, and before long, it'll be over $30 million. The 20.5 million in revenue sharing, there's not really any strict guidance on this yet. So in other words, we play by, we are required by law to abide by Title IX. Title IX has, which has been wonderful as far as creating opportunities for females. And over the last 50 plus years, Title IX has really changed the game for not just female athletes, but athletes just in general. It's been a really good thing. We don't know yet quite how Title IX applies to this rev share world. So what we're doing, and I say we, I mean all of the other Power 5 institutions, are making our best guess is the right word but our best shot at doing something that's equitable across our different sports. You'll see most schools, including South Carolina, are focused revenue sharing on sports that are historically known to generate revenue. So in our case, we have 8, football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, men's and women's soccer, and volleyball, which make up 8 sports. And so next year, most of those sports will participate in the permissive revenue sharing. I say permissive because you don't have to pay this, right? But I would tell you that at this level, the Power 4 level, and in the SEC especially, everyone is. And so we had to make a decision in my previous institution how fast we could make a commitment to do this. Remember, these are unbudgeted dollars, and you have the 20.5 plus the $4 million or so I was mentioning to you. This is a $25 million unbudgeted expense that you're on the hook for right away. So, in a perfect world, we would have had 2, 3, 4 years to ramp up to this, to prepare for this. This was dropped on our lap really in a matter of months. And so I'm not saying that to say, woe is me. I'm saying this is our new reality, and we've been more or less forced to deal with it, and we are, and we will. So huge, as I said, kind of watershed moment in college athletics is this new world. And I would offer that, while you don't love to have a $25 million added expense, while you have to deal with that, I would also say that it's probably the right thing to do for the student athletes for this reason, especially in the sport of football, but also in women's basketball, also in men's basketball, the baseballs and softballs in the world. Those 5 sports, we'll just focus on those for a moment. Those individuals bring a lot of value to the university, tangible value and intangible value. I would challenge you to find an industry where talent isn't compensated. And so if you're thinking about, and I'm not calling these student athletes employees, but if you think through labor laws and you start thinking through, if you use that process as you're kind of analyzing what I'm telling you, I think this was probably the right thing. I think we probably could have gotten here a little more elegantly rather than having to settle a lawsuit that essentially would have put us out of business had we been found liable. Remember, this was a settlement. This is us kind of meeting in the middle. The reality is losing a class action lawsuit like this was probably in the neighborhood of $14-15 billion. I mean, that is a situation which is existential to athletics, to us. That would have required us to really to have drastic changes across the board that no one would have loved. So it is what it is. We have here in South Carolina. And then the last thing is, okay, so what about NIL? NIL didn't go anywhere, right? We got kind of familiar with this NIL wild, wild west, which is you go to your donors, you ask them for a bunch of money, and you find out what you want to pay to keep them out of the transfer portal or go get someone in the transfer portal. Well, NIL is essentially the toothpaste has essentially been put back in the tube to what it was originally planned for in 2021. The terms of the settlement now require NIL to have a legitimate business purpose, is subject to a fair market value analysis, and there's all sorts of rules and stipulations about the payor. In other words, these are intended to be legitimate business deals from third parties in towns, whether they're companies, corporations, and so that's what NIL was intended to be. Now, when this is just kind of a historical side note or footnote, when at the threat of being sued, the NCAA backed away from putting guidance on that in 2021. And so what we did is we created an unregulated environment, and you've probably seen since then just these astronomical numbers that have been paid to young men and young women that really was not sustainable. I mean, going back to your donor base time and time again to help fund this, because NIL, the university could not fund that. That was donor funded, that was third party funded. That's not a sustainable model. And I think all of us in this league, one thing I was really excited about when I got into this room is I think when you're outside the SEC or even the Big Ten, I think there's this narrative that the SEC and the Big Ten are just trying to outspend everybody. And when I certainly felt that a little bit when I was in the Big 12, which is the previous conference I was in at TCU, great conference. And when I got into the SEC, I was kind of relieved to see those with the biggest budgets in the room saying, God, enough's enough. Like, this is not a sustainable model. And this is coming from the Texases, the Alabamas, the A&Ms, that have budgets even larger than ours. And so this isn't perfect. I am optimistic and hopeful that this leads to a better path for us, because we were not on the sustainable path. The the dirty secret in our business is that football pays, 80% of our bills, maybe even more. And so, we need it's important to provide opportunities for those other 21 sports. And so you would hate to be in a situation where you had to be serious about cutting those opportunities. I don't think that's right. There are some schools that aren't in a position that we are and that are making those tough decisions. So I'm hopeful that this provides us some stability, and I'll talk a little bit about what our plan is to kind of overcome this $25 million plus expense we find ourselves with that will be with us forever. This is the least amount of money we'll ever spend in this regard. So it's not to say that this is without other threats to our business. There are other lawsuits hanging out there that we're working through, and we need some help from the federal government. So you've seen you may have heard of the SCORE Act. That's going before the floor of Congress here, we believe, here soon. And what we're asking for, you're in trouble when you're asking the federal government for help. And what we are collectively as an association asking Congress or the federal government for help with is we need some limited liability protection from lawsuits like this so we can operate our business and continue to provide these opportunities. We need some antitrust protection. We need some federal state preemption protection. So in other words, NIL is a great example. There are 50 different states in this country. There are 50 different state NIL laws. And so what's different in Louisiana is different than South Carolina, which is different than Texas and different than California. And there's too much there's attorney generals involved. We need one standard. And so back to the SCORE Act, we believe there's a great opportunity to, while not perfect, we believe this is a way to provide future stability and offer us a path to sustainability going forward. So I just gave you a lot right there, but I just want to give you kind of an overarch of what we're kind of up against outside the walls. I think a lot of times there's a feeling, and probably rightly so, that just in athletics, all we do is show up on Saturdays and, we're just responsible for the game for our student athletes. We're kind of we're facing many existential threats to our business right now. That's really pulled my team away. I mean, as you can imagine, we've got committees, subcommittees that are helping us really take on these challenges, not just take them on. My charge from the board of trustees here, from our university president, has been to excel, to thrive in these conditions. And so, we're not here just to participate. We've got big expectations at this university, and that's candidly one of the reasons I came here. So, because we want to do bigger, we want to set the bar even higher. So I say all that to say there are turbulent times, but we have a great team. We've got a terrific staff that's working really hard to make sure that our teams are well supported and we find ourselves in a good position going forward. So I'll quickly shift gears to the stadium project. So as many of you have seen, we received final approval from the State Fiscal Authority, State Fiscal Accountability Authority, SFA, as it's referred to as, which was the final set of approvals. There was a number of approvals that led up to that. We received this a few weeks ago, and that was the final key in the lock, if you will, to get this project on the books, which is a $350 million Williams-Brice Stadium redevelopment, reimagination. But it's, I tell you, the time is now. We are past due for this project, and there's a number of things that we're trying to accomplish with this project. And so, one, I'll speak to the women in the room. How many of you ever waited in line for a women's bathroom? I always say that because I always get some smiles and some chuckles. So I'll just share with you some interesting data. So if you said to yourself that an industry best practice for a women's bathroom is X, right? And this is just a reasonable number of bathrooms throughout a stadium. We are at 25% of that number. Our architect of record, Populous, who's the best in the business, said it's the worst they've ever seen. So, okay, so that's one thing. The men isn't much better. The men actually have the men have more throughout the stadium, but it's a problem. It's a real big problem. The second is the concession stands, whether it's location, quality of, access to, those are a challenge. Space in the concourses, ingress and egress, which is going in and coming out of the stadium. We have a number of issues just operationally in the stadium that it's not someone's fault. It's not a decision that was made. Because remember, the stadium was built for 45,000 people years ago. And what we've done is we've just added on to that over time. And we really haven't addressed the infrastructure. Candidly, we weren't really able to. So the state increased its debt capacity last year, which allowed us to get up to the $350 million to do this project. Candidly, And 350 million is definitely shaking a stick at, don't get me wrong. But if you put everything on our wish list that we need to do for the stadium, probably more like 600 million. But I mean, it just shows you the cost of construction these days. But we're really excited about the 350 million. Last and certainly not least, the two things. One, the student section. So we have the best students in the country. You all probably saw the videos last week of them dancing in the rain. Although I did get a little nervous when the rain turned to thunder and lightning. So we were trying to, let's get out of the rain dance and get them inside and under cover. But fantastic students. We want those students to have an unbelievable experience in all of our athletic competitions. I think they tolerate the experience right now. I think that they love being there. They love being in the environment, but it's not a great environment. We've talked to a number of those students. We've spent time surveying them. We need to do better there. One of the things I'm really excited about underneath the video board is the Floyd building. That's the former football operations building. That building's actually going to be demoed, and we're going to build a 365-day-a-year club for these students. This club will serve as a couple things. One, on game day, it'll be a place of refuge to get out of the rain or the heat. There'll be concessions in there. There'll be there'll be television screens and a place to play games and restrooms. It'll be a place they can congregate, and it'll be a place for a sense of community for pregame, halftime, that type of thing. But also, this space will be used exclusively for students 365 days a year for other programming. So I met yesterday with Colie, our student body president, to give her the latest plans. They've been really involved in this, and they're very excited about this. For all the right reasons and so this is something that we're not doing this to be first in, but I'm not aware of another school, especially the SEC, who's doing something like this. And I think it shows our commitment to the students and what we want their experience to be like. Because from where I sit, you want those students to graduate, to leave campus, but you want them to come back. You want them to come back. You want them to be donors. You want them to be season ticket holders. You want them to be active in the alumni association, and then you want their kids to come back and want to be students here. And I've seen the best cultures and the best universities have that cycle where they have those legacies and then multi-generation of kids that want to come back and families that want to continue to get involved in the university, support the university. So it starts with their experience here on campus. So really excited about that. I know the president's really excited about it. I know the board's very excited about that student component. And last but not least is the premium seating. So you think about suites and club seats. So right now we are last in the SEC in premium seat offerings. And why is that important? Well, we have 18 suites in the stadium. Anyone want to take a guess on what the second lowest in the SEC is?
At least 30.
40, 30, 50, 60, 56. And that's Vanderbilt. Ironically, who's coming in this weekend. 56. We're at 18. Anyone want to take a guess what the high end is? Get their homework. Senator Hulett for the win, 200. So we're not trying to get to 200. That may be a little bit that we may not have the appetite for that. But we certainly need more than 18. And why is that important? Well, go back to the House settlement. Right, there's so much unrealized premium seat revenue that the experience for our donors is lacking. We need to provide a better experience for them also on game day. But two, this is real revenue that we're not seeing that helps support the other 21 sports. And so if you talk about being able to look people in the eye and say, we're here to give them an amazing experience, to compete at the highest level, we got to back that up. And so there's a lot of reasons to do this project. But those 4 or 5 things are really that. So we're trying to solve for a lot of things when you talk about a $350 million project. I know it sounds like a ton of money, and you're probably thinking there's no way we, shouldn't be able to do all those things. Candidly, the world we find ourselves in which is the price of steel, the price of aluminum, and the price of concrete, finding good subcontractors, those types of things. It's very expensive to do these types of projects. My experience has been that it never gets cheaper. So we could kick this down the can, we could kick this can down the road, and we could, waffle over what's the best idea, and waste a year, waste 2 years. And then the $350 million project is now $450 million. And then what it becomes, it's like a boat leaving the dock you can never catch. And so since arriving here, and there are already plans in the works. This is not my idea to do this. We've been talking about this for some time. But when I got here and met with the team, the sense of urgency became real, especially as we were close to settling this lawsuit. If we're not going to do it now, our brand is hot. I think we've got a great football coach. I think we've got a great football program, an amazing trajectory that Coach Beamer has us on. we have to do this now. So really excited about those approvals. One of the things, shifting gears for a second, that people aren't talking about that I think you'll see is the development of this space outside the stadium. So you probably have heard about this multi-use entertainment district. If you think to the east side of the stadium, that's a real project that we're working through right now. You talk about hotels, restaurants, bars, a way to kind of bring that area to life, especially on non-football game days. As you know, or as you probably know, the state of South Carolina and the city of Columbia are hot. There's a lot of people coming into this town. There's a lot of people making investments in this city. And so we want to draw people to that stadium and draw people to our university. I think it's really our job, by the way, to invite people to campus, whether it's to buy a 50-yard line suite, to attend a game or a conference. It's really our job to bring people back to this university, to this community. This entertainment district, I think, will do that. Now, we're still at the top of the second inning here, so there's been no formal announcement. We are working through the RFP process, but I would tell you it's pretty exciting to know that there are a number of firms outside the state who have drilled down on Columbia, South Carolina as a place to invest, a place to grow. So if I'm a resident here, that would make me really excited to know that people want to do that. People want to spend money here because they see the tremendous opportunity and they see the advantage to partnering with our brand. So very excited there. And again, that's something that we're not really talking about too much, but I think you're going to see more and more of. And then the last thing I'll talk about, and then I want to answer any questions you all have, is our brand. So one of the things I've been talking about since arriving here is really being intentional about elevating and amplifying our brand. And I don't mean just in the visual identity of it, whether it's the logo or the word marks. You probably saw last weekend we painted the end zones, and we think that's a kind of a tactical little brand boost as far as our physical identity, but really more the look and the feel and what it means to be affiliated with the University of South Carolina and our athletics program. What's the story we're trying to tell? What's the mission behind what we're doing? And so those things don't necessarily show up in a logo. The logo is just a brand identity associated with that feeling of being connected to us. So a couple of things that we've done recently that I think are going to be, as you look down the road, I think will have a huge impact on our brand and the feeling of being connected and associated with the University of South Carolina and our athletics program is one, we hired a brand new position, a chief marketing officer, a gentleman named Wesley Hulett, who was the athletics director at UC Riverside, left that position to come here. This is actually, I think, his 5th day on the job. And Wes brings a tremendous amount of experience. But one of the things that's really unique about Wes, and you may have seen the announcement about him, is he brings a very unique perspective. He worked in not only at UC Riverside, but at other college campuses, including Cal Berkeley, but also worked for MTV and BET. And so he brings that corporate experience too, and really knows this space. He's basically overseeing all of our external operations that are outward facing, not including the Gamecock Club. And he's going to do a really good job of supporting all those teams and helping us elevate and amplify our brands, our marketing efforts, our communication efforts. We're really excited he's here. And then the second thing that Chris mentioned is the Nike announcement. There's a lot. Under Armour's been a fantastic partner to us for years, over 19 years, I believe. And when we went to market here, we were looking to really, not just find an apparel provider, but someone we felt like would be going forward the best partner for us as we set off to really elevate and amplify our brand. We only talked to Nike and to Under Armour, two fantastic companies. We decided to move forward with Nike, which will take place officially in 2026, July of 2026. So really excited about them, excited for this next year to celebrate our time with Under Armour. We're going to be very intentional about that partnership. They've been tremendous to our student athletes and our teams, but also looking forward, I know there's a lot of excitement about the transition to Nike as well. And I think, it's not a secret, the brand power, the marketing engine you tap into, if you will, when you partner with a company that size. So that was probably a lot. The last thing I'll say just too is many of you may have heard the university is also on the same subject, has hired a new vice president for marketing, Dan Dillon. Dan, I think, brings a tremendous new vision to campus when you're talking about branding, you're talking about marketing. And we've done a really, we've been very intentional. He and I actually started around the same time to really make sure that we're always connected. I think a lot of times you show up at a university, not necessarily here, and things feel different. Athletics shows up different than the university, and the brand is it's a house of brands rather than a branded house. I think Dan's been very intentional. You should get him to come here and speak to this group, because I think that would be time well spent. He's undertaken a massive project to really try to bring all that together. And us in athletics are really going to do a good job partnering with him and making sure that the feeling of being associated with this university feels like one, and it's a consistent feel. So really excited about him. So that was a lot. That was an earful. Hopefully I didn't lose anyone in that, but I'll stop now, Chris, and open up to any questions any of you senators have. I know some of you may have some, did I hear that right? That some of the staff members can text the senators to relay questions?
They could possibly.
Welcome those two if they are out there. Yes, sir.
I think last year there was, I guess, reduction in staff benefits on ticketing for baseball and women's basketball in terms of the free ticketing options. And I guess I'm just wondering how you may anticipate the premium seating impacting staff football ticketing options in the future.
I didn't really understand the question. So I realized there were some changes made last year that affected staff seating, but I didn't really understand the question about future premium seating. Sorry, and I can't. It's hard to hear.
So, I guess it's as impacts to the baseball ticketing program and women's basketball program, as they have become more successful, the staff benefit has been, I guess, reduced in terms of the free ticketing options. Do you anticipate with the premium seating that staff's options for, paid ticketing being, increased or limited in some fashion?
For football?
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. Sorry, thanks for clarifying that. Not necessarily. I think one of the challenges you're always trying to find the balance is, trying to be fair to staff, trying to be fair to your donors and your ticket base to find somewhere in the middle where you can try to accommodate both as best as possible. We will see a seating capacity reduction in football, and for this reason, the best example I could give you is if you have a bench seat, which most of our seats are. The seats are a portion about 15 inches per person. When you add a seat to it, it goes to about 17 inches. So the math doesn't work. You're going to have a seat kill or a seat reduction. We're trying to make sure we do as little of that as possible. We are at 78,000 seats right now in Williams Rice, maybe a little north of that. We think we'll lose at least a few thousand, but there were other plans we looked at that were 8, 10, 12,000 seat reductions that we walked away from. So to answer your question directly, we haven't had any conversations about that. It's not been on our radar. I would hope we can get to a place where we don't have to do that. I understand how important that is, that benefit is to staff. And so we're always going to be very mindful to try to infringe upon that benefit as little as possible. So that's the best answer I can give you for now, but know that we have discussed it many times. And right now there is no discussion about that. Good question. Oh, by the way, I was told that to anticipate that one, so I should have done it. You're asking my question. Appreciate it. Thank you. I see another hand up here.
You answered mine. It was going to be about capacity. I was curious.
Yeah.
It's going to, change.
Yeah, I mean, it's, and I'll just tell you, I had the conversation. There were some donors. When I first got here, there were some that said, we can't reduce the stadium. We got to expand it. Well, the data just doesn't support that. And so if you find yourself adding seats just to add seats for the wrong reasons, it's incredibly expensive to do that. I mean, outrageously expensive to add seats. Our scan rates are very high, but they're not 100%. And so we can absorb a small decrease in seats. Talked to Shane Beamer about this concept. I said, Coach, is this a recruiting? Will this hurt us in recruiting if we go from 78,000 to 75,000 or 74,000? He said, absolutely not. What recruits care about is what they saw Saturday night. After the 2.5-hour rain delay, the place is packed. They care about what they're going to see this Saturday night, which is an unbelievable environment you can only find here. That's what matters. Whether it's 62,000 or 78,000 or 75,000, that's what they want to see. So that really took the pressure off me, because the last thing you want to do in my position is walk in as the new guy and make some decision that, it's downstream effect that's going to hurt the football program. So he gave me great confidence that wasn't the case. Thanks for the question. Yes, sir. Senator Williams in the back.
Yeah, right.
It's fun to say, sorry.
Question about the long-term game of the revenue sharing. So you mentioned that it increases every year through the length of the settlement. When we get to the end of the settlement, obviously a lot can change between now and then, but what is the plan as it stands right now for where that goes after that?
Well, I plan to retire the year before. No, great question. And so that's another reason why this federal legislation would be big, so that we could codify the terms of the settlement and just basically adopt it forever as a future, kind of game plan going forward. Because without that, the big question is, what does year 11 look like, right? So I'd also be remiss if I didn't add this. In addition to the 4%, there's also a recalculation. So that's how you get to, I should have said this, I apologize. The 20.5 million is 22%, an average of 20% of revenues across Power 5. That's how they got to 20.5. So the 22% for us was a number we gave them over a 3-year span, looking backwards last year, right? So 24, 23, 22. Well, they're going to recalculate that every 3 years in addition to the 4%. So it's actually 4% plus plus. And so when you talk about us renegotiating our deal with ESPN or a contract, you mentioned Nike or whatever it is that brings more revenue into the ecosystem, over time, that's just more revenue we're going to share with the student athletes. It's very much like a pro model. Just as a side note, a pro model, they share about 50% of the revenue between management and talent. You take the NFL, for example. Well, as the league contract goes up, whether it's the multimedia rights deal or whatever it is, it's just more money that goes into the system, and they get 50% of whatever that is. Same model that we find ourselves in here. By the way, you might ask yourself, well, 22% seems very low compared to pro sports. And it is. One, I'd still say they're not professional. Two, that's not including all the other things we do for them. Their financial aid dollars, food, apparel, services. You start adding those up, you start getting in the 40s. And so we actually share much more revenue and resources with student athletes than I think gets reported in the media. You didn't ask that, but I felt like telling you. Anything else? Yes, sir, in the front.
Around the university, parking is always a bear. Well,
I heard that, yeah. Here, there,
The construction going on right now.
Yeah.
Is there any plans around the stadiums and the other venues that are related to parking and how that's going to be expanded?
I'm having a conversation right now regarding baseball, ironically. Football is the changes I made. We are working through what those parking plans would look like. Obviously, if you're talking about a multi-use entertainment district, that would absorb, at least one or two of the parking lots that are there. That would need to be replaced. And so we're working through this, that come back in the form of a parking garage, a parking structure, remote parking. We're working through all that. But we're also working through, probably in the more immediate future, some different options for baseball that would take place, not this coming season, but maybe the following season. That would be an expansion of our current footprint. So I can't release any more details on that. I know we had more parking at Colonial Life Arena last year before I arrived here. But that's something that's also top of mind. So sorry I don't have a specificity for you.
And how challenging is it with the Williams-Brice being in the area of, you have a lot of industrial partners and big industrial partners, and Anheuser-Busch and the like are in the immediate vicinity. Does that help or curtail your plans?
Great question. So I think by and large, the businesses want to be supportive of game day. I think that we don't get much resistance down there from those specific groups as far as being good partners and sell game day parking. Some of those spaces we're finding are not really used. And so the university, meaning athletics especially, we're always on the lookout to acquire more space, because it just helps everybody down there. It's more space to park, it's more space to activate. So, I think you'll see us potentially securing more space down there over time that would just enhance the game day experience. Thank you. Yes, sir. Senator Jeanette.
I wanted to ask about if there are any plans to bring in more outside events, such as with the Premier League preseason event that we had this past fall.
Yes, great question. And the answer to that is yes. So I think, like it or not, we're in the business of young people, but we're also in the entertainment business. And one of the things, to your point, that has really prevented us from doing more is the quality of our premium spaces, the access to our premium spaces in the football stadium, but also the access to the field. So one of the components of the project that I did mention is a relocation of the visiting locker room to put it more in the back of the house and also create a truck ramp and a true loading dock. Why is that important? Well, if you think back, for those of you who are here for the Jay-Z and the Beyonce concert, we needed like 10 cranes to lift the stuff over the top of the stadium. There was no direct access to the field. Well, a lot of other concerts, and there were a couple big names that wanted to come here this fall, but there's so many opportunities in the area that they didn't want to hear of that, so they went elsewhere. So one of the plans is to create that access to the field that will open up more opportunities there. We will probably host a World Cup team next year, being the training site for a team. That's not an announcement; it's just a prediction. I think that we've got the facilities that would lend itself to that. We're kind of in the soccer business. You mentioned the soccer match that we hosted last year, the friendly, before I arrived, which was a big success despite the weather, I was told. So we're constantly looking for more events like that that draws more attention to Columbia and to those venues. So that's another intended outcome of that multi-use entertainment district, is there will likely be a concert venue, a smaller concert venue, but adjacent to the stadium. So great question. Thank you, everybody. Go ahead. Thank you.
I know that you're welcome anytime. Appreciate it. Good rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Director Donati had some other engagements he wanted to get to. Before we move on to our treasurer's report, I did want to welcome Vice Provost for Academic Administration, our ex officio Shana Means, who's here. So thank you so much for being here as well, and for all your support of us. We want to take just a few moments for the body to hear of our financials. It's important for you to know the money that we do receive from the university, how we use those funds, and especially how that impacts our Staff Appreciation Day celebration in the spring. So Amanda Tuck is here, and you can just do the down arrow.
Perfect. Hello. Hi, everybody. How's it going? I'm here to talk about the very, very, very fun thing, which is money. We all love money. Money's great. So we have three major accounts that we're going to talk about today. We have our A funds, we have our K funds, which are just our foundations funds, and we have our N funds, which is Staff Appreciation Day. So everything that we do that is not kind of foundations-y or staff appreciation is happening in our A funds. So that's going to be the first one that we look at. Whenever we're talking about money coming in, whenever I got into this position, I really wanted to look at things holistically. What has it been since we started? And so when I tell you I have clicked on every single expense that we have ever done, it was a day. It was great. So whenever we're looking at historically where we've been, this is kind of interesting to look at. We have payroll that comes out, and I don't think that payroll is something that we need to put on blast. So if you do want to meet with me to go over anything that I have removed from here that's payroll based, let me know. I'm more than happy to schedule a meeting. But whenever we take out payroll, what we see is that our first year we got 4,500 in. Our second year is whenever we got our allocation from the president's office, and that is minus our payroll allocation for that year. The next year after that is where we actually have someone who we've hired, and we have their salary on our accounts. And what happens there is that our actual requests never changed. And so that's why those couple of years there in red is we weren't requesting enough. And so our carry forward from those years, because it's important to know we did have carry forward, that carry forward just went into paying for salaries. So we have now in the last 2 years kind of adjusted that. I'm working with the budget office to see if we can make sure that those changes are final, to make sure that we are requesting enough money. So for this year, we are getting carry forward. Our carry forward is right at 14,000. So good for us. And then we do have, after we remove payroll allocations, around 12,600. Whenever we're looking at expenses, again, I want to do a holistic view. I want to see what we're spending money on, why we're spending money on. So basically what we have is the first couple of years, we had some interesting expenses that we don't really have anymore. And that's because we were doing appreciatory things with our A funds. We now have our N funds. So those are not on this, our A funds anymore. But basically what I've done here is in Excel, I trust, we've done projections to kind of see where we can assume we're going to be spending. And so that's that last column in Garnet is my projections based on our historic expenses, as well as some things that we know that we're going to have. We know that we're going to have some IT replacements happening this year, so we've allocated more funds there. We know that we are going to have the new note cards that President Burkett mentioned, so we allocated more funds there. And so as kind of overshooting it, we're going to estimate that we're going to spend around $4,699. Most of that's going to be food for orientation. That's what it always is. Moving forward, we're not going to have as much for name tags because we're going to be in an off year. And so that's kind of where we're looking at with our monies coming out. So we should be good moving forward, monies coming out versus what we got in. Next thing that we're going to talk about is foundations. Foundations funds are funds that are not departmental. They're not technically here. They're in foundations. So they are different. Whenever we talk about fundraising, that's where these go. So last year we raised $3,186.72. And so that brings our foundations account to $15,193.50. And we as exec have been talking to try and see what exactly we want to do with these funds. If we are looking at like endowments or things like that, we're looking at multiple years. So for endowments, we're looking at like 12 years, things like that. So we're working with scholarships to try and see how we want to use these funds, but they're there. That's our foundations account. The next thing is going to be our appreciation day, which is our end funds. Have a little cutoff at the bottom, but so our end funds are our presidential allocation plus the first year that we got our foundations account, we had a $10,000 gift from, refresh my memory, Chris Burkett.
Founders.
Founders, there you go. Yeah. So we had a gift from Founders. So we also have our development funds mixed in there. So whenever we're looking, you can't see it. We were projecting to spend, I think it was 42,000. We spent 41,000-ish. So we were under what we had planned to spend for Staff Appreciation Day last year. Some things that we didn't have. We had projected $1,000 for gift for games. We did not end up having that. We did actually have Sir Big Spur and Cocky. We also had Allegiance, which was custodial services, and we also had a $35 charge from Russell House that we were not anticipating, but that still came in under what we had planned. So we're in the process of requesting more funds for this coming year's Staff Appreciation Day. And so this is what we are currently working with that we're going to turn in. So this was a summary of what we did. We were under budget by around 110. We were under our available funds by 10,795. And again, that is the presidential allocation and our foundations funds. Attendees, we provided 2,200 meals. And on our follow-up survey, everything was overwhelmingly positive, especially regarding location and entertainment. This is just another view of that, our charges versus our budget versus actuals. Here was the stuff that we saw last year regarding the survey feedback, where everything was majority in the positive. Remember, excellent and good, excellent and good, excellent and good. So overall, very, very positive. And then just as a final wrap up, we did want to include actually what some people said about the event. So this is a slide of photos and things that people said, because we felt like that was important to actually bring the staff perspective as what they felt about the event. So that is our budgets. If you would like to talk one-on-one, if you'd like to schedule a meeting, more than happy. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, complaints, or jokes, I'm always available.
Thank you, Amanda. And please note, just in case you weren't aware, when Amanda was talking about payroll, payroll for us really means our wonderful administrative coordinator, Jessica, whom we share with the Faculty Senate. And so half of her payroll salary comes from us, others matched by Faculty Senate. And once, I think that was year 2, that we were pleased and to support that so that we have some assistance to help us in everything that we do. So that's really when we talk about payroll, what that comes from. So thank you, Amanda. And then we will keep you posted too as we work with the Scholarship and Fundraising Committee about what to do with funds, because ultimately it will be the body's decision what to do with those funds. We just want some clear options and know exactly what each term means as we're dealing with some ideas that we're not as well versed in, such as endowments and things of that nature. So we will come back to you with all of that. With that, we have reports of our committee, starting first with membership.
So a QR code, our committee has been working on a quick survey for you for current senators, and it's really just a few questions to gauge your readiness to serve as senator. And we want to gather information from you to help us better inform our decisions on what we want to do with future membership issues or questions or preparedness. This QR code, if you don't want to do it right now, it should just take a few minutes, but we'll have it in the minutes that will go out as well, because we really just want you to think through the few questions that we have. So feel free, if you'd like to do it now, you can, but it will be in the minutes later. Thank you very much for your support on that. And then also our next meeting next week on September 16th, we're going to be joined by all our past presidents of Staff Senate. And we have some questions for them, just asking them about what they've learned throughout their constituency in regards to membership and how we can use that information to move forward and inform our decisions. Any questions? Thank you.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
And no, as communications is coming forward, one of the things, one of the topics membership has been charged with are possible allocation changes. Our membership body is the same as it was when we were formed, and maybe that's the way we want it to stay. Maybe we want it to change. Some areas have asked possibly for more representation. So all of that will be used from the survey, from talking to past presidents, to come to you all eventually with hopefully a recommendation of what we want to do. So thank you for that. Communications.
All right, we just have two main things to note today. One of the things we've mentioned previously is looking at the possibility of starting a newsletter that would go out university-wide to staff, similar to the USC Today platform. There was a survey actually done last year that Senator Taylor let us know about, and Senator Harman, about gauging how people are communicating in their units. So we're going to assess that and take that into consideration as we look at a bigger newsletter. And then the only other main item we wanted to talk about today was there seemed to be a little bit of confusion around what it is that we're all supposed to send out to our constituents. And basically the communications committee will do a summary of the minutes. Senator Taylor's been working with us on that. That will be sent to you, and then feel free to just forward that right along to your constituents. We'll make sure to include links and QR codes and all of those types of things. I think the last summary had the link for the volunteer opportunities. And those things also live on the Staff Senate website. So feel free to include a link to that to your constituents as well. Any questions? Yes.
Just out of curiosity, because I think this has been the case for a while based on before I was on Senate when I got these. Is there a reason that those come late in each shift, or each cycle, I should say, like right before the next meeting and some summary of the previous one?
Yep, I think we've got that worked out now. We got a template put together, and we also, as a committee, wanted to make sure that we didn't need to get approval of our summaries before they went out. So Senator Taylor gave us some information on that at our last meeting, so they should be coming a lot sooner. And we are all also kind of taking shifts on those minutes. So I sent them last time. Senator Harman sent them the first time. You will get them from other members of our committee going forward too. I think it works out that each of us have maybe two. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, thanks, everybody.
Excellent, thank you. Staff policy and well-being.
So
two of our points our gracious president has already talked about, so that shortens our report. So what we want to discuss is from our meeting, Carolina Gardy was present, and there's some HR transformation updates. First is they are in the process of hiring 3 new HR business partners for 3 group areas, including parking facilities and similar areas. This is not to replace the HR director that is in their area. However, it is, going to be used to improve overall access, consistency, and ability to build career pipelines. The pay band alignment is another that will go into effect February 1, 2026. We have very basic information, so if you ask questions, we probably can't answer them. Just let you know, this will, they're using states for structures, including the buckets of general, law enforcement, IT, and clinical. All those that don't fall in the law enforcement, IT, or clinical would be put into that general category. That includes the 180 higher education classifications that the state does not have. There is an advisory group that HR will be forming. We don't know the stage on that yet. And then also, they will be looking at the data of those who have separated from the institution since July 1 to the end of the first quarter, so the end of September. And that's, really we're looking at as it relates to the return to campus.
For a little bit of clarity on the wellness spaces for faculty and staff, Cammie and Megan were able to meet with Jim from Campus Rec, Amanda from Employee Wellbeing, and John from Next Play. And so this is going to be kind of a bit of a longer process than kind of originally anticipated, because with partnering with Campus Rec and Employee Wellbeing, they're going to kind of take a little bit of the lead of this with kind of some renovations that are going to be happening with campus recreation. So they're kind of starting that out with kind of using Next Play to kind of design and transform the spaces. And then once that gets approval, then they're going to have kind of a better idea in those areas of where some potential spaces for kind of the wellness spaces can be in kind of those collective areas. So identifying the spaces is kind of the challenge at this point. So once kind of that kind of design has been proposed, then we'll be able to kind of step in a little bit more actively with that. And so that's kind of that. Our next meeting is Tuesday, the 23rd, and kind of 2 main things that we're going to be covering in that meeting are kind of looking a little bit deeper into Bright Horizons. We have an email draft that we're working on with the group that we're going to hopefully have sent out by our meeting. And then
the other part is, so we are now going to be coming into the 2nd year of this legislative session. So we wanted to bring out and let everybody stay informed about the bills that are coming up to play in the spring. Also, we wanted to really put together a resource for staff members about the policies that are here at the university that directly affect you. So that is a resource that we are building right now. Yeah, that's all.
thank you.
Thank you. And please stay tuned. One of the things that Vice President Gardy said, if you're wondering about the salary move to the new state scale, more information will be coming, because as our 2 chairs mentioned, there's really not a whole lot of information on how the university is going to move our pay bands into that, which this working committee that they mentioned is, I think, going to help navigate, which we're hoping to have a seat, some representative on that committee. So we'll keep you posted as that goes. A professional development committee.
Hello, everyone. So not a ton of detailed updates from us today, though thankfully we did have a really nice meeting last time with the head of the office. She's the director, right?
The
I don't remember the official title, but the head of Office of Organization Professional Development, Kim Pruitt. We were really hoping to reestablish that relationship between our committee and OPD, and so we've successfully done that. And just didn't really have time to debrief as a committee after she spoke. It was such a rich conversation. It took the whole hour, and we just, with everything going on with the start of the semester, weren't able to get a second committee meeting on the books as we were hoping. So next week at our meeting, we will get a chance to debrief a lot of that and look forward to continuing conversations to figure out how we can best partner with them so that we're achieving our mutual goals in the PD space.
100%. We also were able to meet with the scholarship and fundraising committee with the executive committee to discuss a possible collaboration. We got some findings, some good ones, some not so great ones, but we're going to present in our next meeting to the committee to see how everyone's feeling about it and how we want to proceed with that. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, September 16th via Teams at 2 p.m. Want to be added? Email me or Brett and get you added on there. Any questions?
I think some of those good findings and not so good findings are all the regulations attached to any sort of money in that University of South Carolina. The more I learn, the more my eyes are open to red tape. Community Projects Committee.
Last time off of conference here that has all of our opportunities coming up. Here. So not this Friday, but next Friday, September 19th, we have a special lunchtime cleanup hour of the street that we adopted on Divine Street. So we're going to meet at the Dunkin' Donuts located at 3303 Divine Street at 12:30 to pick up. So that'll be just a 1 hour commitment. If you guys want to let your constituents know, or you guys come as a group, it could be a great team building activity. We have the link for you to sign up. You want to follow that QR code. And we, starting October 1st through October 11th, we are doing a food drive as part of the Gamecock Community Shop SEC food fight. We're actually going up against LSU. So we want to get lots and lots and lots of donations so we can beat LSU. So please start stockpiling some donations for the community shop. You guys all heard from Jennifer last time at our meeting. And of course, we had a chance to volunteer there and got to interact with some of the students. And then it's very important that we keep those shelves stocked, because the students, they're getting things in, it's all going back out. So we definitely want to stock them up. We unfortunately don't have a meeting again until after the food fight is over. So Senator Richards, who works in this building, is going to check into placing a box right outside of the elevator doors here on the 8th floor, so you can bring donations before the 11th. So if everyone can try to get donations in by October 10th, Amanda or I are also happy to come and get donations as well. So please think about getting some donations for that. And then we also have more opportunities to volunteer at the Gamecock Community Shop if that's something that you're interested in doing. They sent me a new sign up link that goes through December. So even if you just have an hour or two in your workday that you can commit to going over there, it's really fun. You can go stock shelves or you can check people out. It's really simple and easy, and they need a lot of help on Thursdays specifically. The students are having a tough time getting it all covered on Thursdays. So if you just want to get out of the office, that's a great opportunity. Again, that's on our Linktree site that you can sign up through there. And it does have 3-hour time slots, but you can sign up for just an hour or two if you want to do that. And we also have some times and dates that you can volunteer with Cocky's Reading Express. Those are going to be on our Linktree as well. We have an October 24th timeframe, October 27th, and November 10th. We'll talk more about those in our next meeting, but you can find the information there as well. Any questions?
Thank you. And if you'd like to volunteer, especially on a Thursday for the community shop, and you need a note for me, for your supervisor, please let me know. I'll write one. It won't mean a thing, but I'm happy to write one for you so that you can go. It is true, though, I saw it firsthand when we were there, about 1,000 units a day leave that shop to go to those who are food insecure or some other need. So it is very, very important. Bylaws committee.
Hello, everyone. So our last meeting was August 14th. And during that meeting, we discussed a lot about our preparation for our upcoming meeting, which will be this Thursday, September 11th at 2, with special guests Lena Holt and Angela Wright. We're going to be exploring unexcused and the excused absence language. But part of our last meeting, because we've gotten some information from certain committees about their descriptions and their duties. So we are encouraging all committees to review the language in the bylaws. Bylaws are located on the Staff Senate website. And it describes what your committee's responsibilities are and duties. So we're asking each committee to review that to make sure it's accurate and alignment with your current practices. Of course, we'll follow up to all committee chairs about this. But as we promised, we're going to do brief educational segments. And today we're going to talk about absence reporting procedures and some of the key points. So we got a little quiz. Who can tell me how many meetings can a senator miss, excused or unexcused, within a year before being recommended for removal? No one on exec. Okay. Y'all can shout it out. Okay, good job, good job. So to go over that specific part of the bylaw, it's under absence and leave. If a senator misses 7 total meetings, excused or unexcused, within a year, so that's July to June, the executive committee may recommend their removal from the Senate. Very important to note, and that also in the bylaws does state committee meetings. That includes that as well, right? So I got another one. So we're gonna do a thumbs up, thumbs down, and a side, and I'll explain. Who must the senator notify in writing of their absence? If you think it's the president, thumbs up. If you think it's the administrative coordinator, thumbs down. And if you think it's the secretary, thumbs to the side. Okay. Y'all are reading the bylaws. All right. So yes, some key points about excused absences, and we're going over this because we are going to be discussing this week. Only official university work or official university leave count as excused absences. Each absence is counted separately, even if multiple meetings are missed for the same reason. And then, of course, to qualify as excused, senators must notify the secretary, Senator Taylor, in writing before the meeting or in emergencies within 7 calendar days afterward. The secretary may request documentation. So we hope you enjoy these educational segments. We feel like this will kind of be helpful, keep us on our toes, because in your meetings, you're also sometimes discussing rules or policies that may impact bylaws. And so thank you for your participation. Yes.
Just one clarification.
Yeah.
So for staff senate and general body meetings, they have to be in person
Yes.
attendance, but committee meetings to be online.
Correct. Yes. To clarify, yes. It does, because your whatever method or mode you're meeting for committee meetings is in, of course, that's valid. So most of us have virtual committee meetings, and that's fine that your meetings are virtual. But this is also why we're having the meeting this week with Angela and Lena to kind of understand some of the basis for that. Like, what's the purpose of excuse? What is counted as official university leave? So these are some of the things that we are discussing. And so hopefully when we have this meeting, we can come back and kind of dig deeper with you all as a Senate body to know, hey, does this make sense for now? Or was this, how many years ago when they were discussing this? Virtual wasn't even a thing at that point. And now that we're back to work, what does that look like? What does university leave look like? So there's just so many different things that we're going to be discussing. We're excited about it. And so hopefully at our October meeting, we have some updates. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. You knew there'd be a test. I'm telling you, this way, that way. Staff appreciation and recognition.
You have a 25 question quiz.
There you go.
Try to rush through. Okay, so we didn't arrange this beforehand, so I'll start and then Senator White will make sense, and I'll be the one that doesn't make sense. In our last meeting, we discussed the survey results for the most recent Staff Appreciation Day. As was already discussed earlier, they were extremely positive. I think the staff in general really appreciated the efforts that was made by the Staff Senate. I think there was a lot of very positive that we can work off of and build off of. I only honed in on the negative stuff about me, so President Burkett was able to talk me off the ledge about that. You read one comment that says, I couldn't hear him, and then the other comment that says, he was way too loud. I have no idea where to go with that. I don't know what to do next year. I'm just gonna talk medium and see if that, I think it really depends on where you were, and that's one of the things that we talked about is location. I think we love Davis Field, but I think there's pros and cons about where you put the entertainment. So I think that's something as a committee that we discussed is where does the hub of the show need to be? Where does the place where people could just talk with their coworkers need to be? Where's the place for to eat? So these are all things that are under discussion right now. As far as just making sure that we have the best location possible and make sure that we, create the best kind of environment possible for that. We also did discuss a possible theme, which we're not going to share today. It is top secret for next year's Staff Appreciation Day. But as we come across more discussion and kind of hone in on some ideas, then we will share that, of course, with you as an exclusive first before we share it with the rest of the staff. But it is something that we're excited about. I think something we can work off a lot. Do you want to maybe talk about Aramark and the military?
Yeah, so obviously we talked about food because we reviewed the survey. Coleslaw out in the heat is not it. So we did have, Senator Taylor did talk about reaching out to Aramark and having a preliminary meeting since they do have new staff. Just getting in front of them and talking about different options and what they can and can't provide for a large mass of people. And then we began preliminary discussions on how to recognize those on campus with military service. So Candace Terry, who works in the Veterans Military Affairs Office, we're looking to invite her to our next meeting, which is next Wednesday. If she cannot make it next Wednesday, we invited her to our October meeting. So hopefully we can have some dialogue and discussion with her about what she would like to see from that standpoint.
Any questions or anything? No.
Do we have a date for that yet?
The date for
Staff
that
appreciation? That's a great question.
It's also top secret. Yes.
So the Russell House will not book anything in 2026, which is Davis Field or anything around that until the earliest sometime in October. And so I'm working through that the best I can. This is a big deal, big thing. And so we're going to use all the channels we know. So hopefully we'll have a date soon. No, it's not because we haven't tried. Great question, though. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. And at least know one thing we did mention when Treasurer Tuck presented the Staff Appreciation Day proposal. That's how they have asked for it in a slideshow with what the information pertained. It's not us being creative. That's the way that they would like that presented. And so that's why we're sending that in that manner. And so we'll keep you posted. Scholarship and Fundraising Committee. And we appreciate that.
Yeah. Like our friends class. Okay, I'm Storm Britz, pretty much the same thing. So the one thing we've talked a lot about is what we can do to start raising more funds. So we are in talks about planning a cornhole tournament among staff, kind of open to all of staff. So we're trying to figure out what days would be best. So I'm going to kind of take a quick poll. We're thinking about doing this like the week before Thanksgiving. We're still kind of working out those kinks. It'll be a sign up for staff on our campus. But we're trying to decide between a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or a Saturday. So just kind of show hands who would be interested in like a Wednesday. It'd be at like 4 or 5, so like right after work. Wednesday. Write this down. All right, a Thursday. All right. Friday and Saturday. Awesome. I was hoping Thursday too. I'm studying also Wednesday nights. And then I know I have a cornhole set, but if you're willing to donate a cornhole set for the tournament, that would be fantastic. So just let us know. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that. We do not have any new business that I am aware of. And so with that, the floor is now open for updates, announcements, and notices. Anything for the good of the order? Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna make a quick statement, and there's no way we can explore this any further because I know we're about running on time. I have several constituents that are coming to me about return to campus policy, and it's been very difficult and challenging. I just want to make sure that it's a topic that we can continue to discuss and look at in the Senate. I know that just in general that various committees may be looking at it specifically. But I just want to make sure that I have something to talk to constituents about as far as if we're taking any other steps or talking about it in depth in any way. But it is something that several of my constituents have been very upset about.
Absolutely. I think that is a great conversation that we can have one-on-one and bring to the executive committee, and also our wonderful staff policy and well-being committee is another great outlet for that as well. So let's chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I'll just come around. Go ahead. Just
wishing everybody well for their family weekend events. I know a lot of us have a lot of involvement in engagement.
yes, it is family weekend. For those who may not know, this weekend, because it seems like they just moved in and now we're having all the families back. And so, but it'll be October before we know it. Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. But Student Affairs and Academic Support is hosting a golf tournament on October 23rd, Thursday before homecoming when we beat Alabama. For the Carolina Cares Fund, which is a fund for students who have unexpected emergencies. So if their computer gets stolen or they lose their bike or something like that, it's a short-term expense that they need to fulfill their schooling. So you and up to 4 friends can sign up to create a team for October 23rd. So I'll email the staff Senate account the link to sign up. But if anyone has any golfers in their life, we would love if you would share that with them.
That's awesome. And this is the exact form for that. So yeah, I was shaking my head because I'll be the one to drive a cart, but you do not want me to play golf. And so that will be the, thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Oh yeah, she's going to do that. Send that to everybody, or you can send it through our wonderful Jessica Mackey, and she can send that out to everybody. Talking about your slide.
Oh, is that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was going to do that.
Yeah.
Anybody else have? Yes, ma'am. Oh no, come around.
That Alexis already spoke on this for her update, but we talked about it in leadership this morning, student affairs with VP Tolliver about the serious need in the community shop, game pop pantry. I think last Friday alone, 180 students showed up in need. There's a lot of legislation going on right now that's impacting things like SNAP benefits, and I feel like it's not only impacting the students but their families. So if y'all have anything that y'all want to share leading up to the LSU food fight, it's more than welcome. So all you have to do is go by and drop it off at the Coliseum, and I would be greatly appreciated. I think there is going to be a way to give monetary donations if you want to donate $10. It doesn't matter how much. So that our staff can actually go shopping every week at the store to do things to replenish the pantry. So
I put the link for the Amazon wish list in the digital meeting minutes. So if you don't even want to go to the shop, you could just have Amazon go for you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great minds think alike. I was about to say that's another great avenue. Thank you so much for bringing that up. That's a great point. Yes, sir. Gilmore.
From Governor College, new Chancellor, Dr. Craig Wilson. First day was yesterday. So we have new leadership. College, new chairs.
Absolutely. So new times. Great. Anybody else? I had one from Vice President Reed who wanted you all to know.
Sorry, I didn't know the slide made it in, so I was just raising my hand. We're starting year 2 of the Gamecock Caregiver Network. It's something that I and a couple of other staff members across campus have started. It did begin in Staff Senate from someone's constituent coming and asking for those resources. So I always like to bring it up each year, year two, so I'm doing it again. If you or any of your constituents or faculty that you may know, this is open to all faculty and staff of all employment types here at USC, are caring for a loved one, feel free to share this information with them. I can share it in the Teams as well. It's just a safe space for people to talk about things, share resources, etc., whether you are, have been, or will be a caregiver. So know that's a resource as well, and we're looking to expand year to year. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim. Please remember, we want you to continue to connect, empower, and lead at our October meeting. It's going to be a busy one. Bruce Bible, the Vice President for IT, is coming, and this will be the first time he has visited us since his arrival. Excited about that. Robin Peace, our staff and budget person, will be kind of giving a breakdown of last year, which will probably also speak to Senator Shelton's discussion about return to campus. And so we may ask you to submit committee reports ahead of time, just in case we run a little short, because it'll be rich discussion that I want to make sure that we have. So please think about that as we move ahead. We've got some great people on deck, so to speak, to keep our sports metaphors going in the future. So if you have other individuals that you think would be beneficial to have come before staff send it to speak, please let me know, anybody on exec, because we can reach out and request that, because we would love to have them. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. And we are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a great day. We'll see you in October. Next meeting, October 14th.